Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Nine Lives Therapy. My name is Chrissy Smith, and I'm so excited to have Danielle Matthews with us today. I actually saw her for the very first time watching one of my influencers that I look up to, Catherine Edwards, and I'll leave her link in the description below. And Danielle's story is so powerful. Not only is she using a supplement that I use, which kind of perked up my ears because I wanted to hear how this product had changed her life, but I really want us to kind of talk about post-traumatic growth instead of PTSD. We can take that disorder and turn it into something that we can learn and grow from so that we can get about what we are supposed to be doing here in our soul's journey. So welcome, Danielle Matthews. Thank you for joining us today. How are you feeling?
I'm fantastic. Yeah, and It was so good to see you, getting to actually meet you in person a couple of weeks ago. It's so nice.
Yeah, we were at a conference and I got to chit chat with her for a second. I said, I really want to interview you for my channel. She has such a powerful story. And let's talk a little bit about, maybe how old you were whenever your event happened. Maybe talk a little bit about where you were after that and what I guess has led you up into this moment. How long ago was that? And so
yeah. Absolutely. Let's dive in. So I believe that the things that we go through, we grow through, and that everything happens for a reason in our life. And it was really hard for me at the age of 23. So that was 10 years ago. I was hit by a drunk driver and sustained a brain injury. And Chrissy, my world just turned upside down. I could no longer work because I couldn't focus for more than 10 minutes at a time. I couldn't handle any sort of input, light, noise, all of it was just too much for me. I had severe migraines. My head felt like it had like a vice grip around it, and it was just constantly throbbing. And I was dizzy, and all I wanted to do was sleep. So I lost my job because I couldn't work, and therefore lost my independence and found myself back at home, living with my parents, just trying to find anything to help. Western medicine really wasn't offering much. They were telling me with my type of brain injury, it's kind of a wait and see. It could take a month, it could take 3, it could take 6. And then at my 1-year appointment, I was told by my neurologist that this was my new normal. And he said, Danielle, with your type of injury, the body's done all the healing that it will do. And you need to just adjust your life around your symptoms and move on, is what he told me. And I thought, well, I'm 24 and I can't work. And I remember thinking in my head, I was like, you're fired. Like, this can't be my life. And I can't have you guiding me, through my healing, if that's your mindset. And it was really traumatic for me. That whole year, I had been dealing with a lot of PTSD. I would have random panic attacks if something happened that I wasn't expecting. I was severely depressed, a lot of anxiety. And I did a lot of work. I was doing therapy. I was doing EMDR, which was amazing to help with that. And when my neurologist said that, it was kind of like a punch in the gut, because something within me was triggered, and in a good way, because something within me said, well, hang on, I'm not going to accept that my reality is going to be this for the rest of my life. But what if it is? What if this physical stuff is not going to go away? How can I be happy? Because I had been miserable. And I think in life, it's like you have the external world plus your internal response. That equals your reality. And my internal response up to this point had been, this isn't fair. I didn't deserve this. This shouldn't have happened to me. I was in a complete victim mentality. And I think a lot of people would agree, like, well, I was a victim. Like, I was hit by a drunk driver, all these things. And the people around me were saying the same things. Oh, you didn't deserve this, blah, blah, blah. That wasn't helpful, because the reality that was creating was one where I was anxious. I was depressed about the job I had lost, the person really that I had lost, who I used to be. And it was leaving me in a terrible mental state, an emotional state. So I thought, okay, how can I switch my internal dialogue around this? And if I look at it like it's a game, I'll just say new rules are put on the game. And now I can't do a lot of things. And I thought, well, what can I do? And if the game for me in life is just to be happy, it's to have joy, it's to feel good. And I said, well, what can I do now, even with these new barriers with my physical issues, to make me happy? And it just totally shifted my perspective on things. And I started to realize like, well, I can take a dog on a walk. You know, I love dogs and I love nature. And so I like got to go to the local SPCA and they didn't mind. They said, come on in, walk the dogs whenever you want. I was able to hang out with my grandparents. They didn't mind sitting in a dark room and just talking, and they were close by, really supportive. You know, I started to write a gratitude journal, and I realized the power of the present moment, which was probably the biggest gift of all of this, was that like when I started to think about the future, I got incredibly anxious because I didn't know if I'd ever be able to work again, earn money again. Like all my friends were, you know, getting degrees. Like at this point, I had friends getting PhDs, some were at medical school, some were getting MBAs, like high performing group of people around me. I couldn't do any of that. And then I looked at the past and I thought I would get very depressed. Like I want to go back to that. I want to go back to being able to snowboard and to just have fun and not have all these worries and for life not to feel so serious. And so I'd get depressed thinking about that. And I said, okay, just stop. In the game now, you just have to be present. What would make you happy right now? Mm-hmm. And that inner work and that inner dialogue, it just shifted. It shifted everything in me. I started to meditate, which helped me to, you know, access this space behind my thoughts because my thoughts weren't always so helpful. So I could get the thoughts to quiet down. And honestly, I mean, the most amazing thing happened. Like we talk about the law of attraction a lot. I think people understand, you know, that law, but what they don't understand is that that's a secondary. Like the primary is the law of vibration, which says the vibrational state that you hold is the level that you'll attract in from, whatever's at that vibration. And I had been in a space of depression and anxiety, and with my PTSD, like it was a very low vibrational state. And so I had kept pulling in that first year. I kept pulling in things that just kind of reinforced that. Unbeknownst to me, when I started shifting and getting more grateful and doing all of these things, I shifted my vibrational state. And so I became happier. And at that time was when I got a phone call about the REDOX, the supplement that you and I both take and love. And that was the phone call that changed everything for me physically. Because this acupuncturist said, I believe this can cross the blood-brain barrier. I believe this can help your body to repair itself. This goes in and just stimulates your cells to repair wherever they need. She was talking about how every client was having different results. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I actually thought it was too good to be true. I kind of pushed her off for a little while because I was like, this sounds way too good. But ultimately, I used it and it repaired my physical body. My cells were able to finally figure out what's off and my body could heal itself. And that gets me to a point where, you know, I had to make a decision. What do I want to do now? With all the knowledge I have, all the shift I've had emotionally, mentally, spiritually, it was, you know, a big decision on, you know, where to go from there.
Awesome. So how long have you been a motivational speaker, or do you have your own business, or are you just promoting the ASEA line? Where are you now? So I guess you started taking the product and was like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, it's been an evolution. So that was, gosh, we're coming on like 8 years ago, nearly 9, that I was using the ASEA, and that it changed my health so much. And I started to be able to dream again. I started to think about, well, what is it that I want to do? And I had woken up to so much. The spiritual aspect of life, I had kind of ignored for a long time. And I was completely, I was crashed awake. Like this accident really blew open so much for me and made me realize I am more than my thoughts, you know, and I am here to do so much more than I was doing before. And I need to get out of my own way. I need to put this mind of mine aside and get in touch with my truth and get in touch with my intuition and my higher self. And I started asking, you know, I wanted to do something where I could wake other people up to this fact that they've got all this potential inside of them and they're just not tapping into it. So many people are just like in, you know, head down, blinders on, just going through the motions of life, just in these like patterned loops. And I was watching people, I'm like, they're miserable, you know, and then I realize it. They're stressed out and just, you don't need that. You know, tomorrow you could be gone from this earth. So what are you doing? Yeah. You know, I couldn't unknow that. And I thought I want to be in a position to have conversations around that to help people. I also knew that I had had a degree in biology. I'd learned how to teach, and I'd come across this powerful biotech discovery. And I thought, I think this is something I'm meant to explain to people and help educate about. So I knew I should align myself with ASEA. But I had no business experience. I didn't know what it meant to work on your own or to be an entrepreneur. I was clueless. But there was a burning desire in my soul. I mean, something in my heart just said, you're meant for more. You're not meant to go back into, kind of felt like, The Matrix, the movie. It's like I got unplugged from the Matrix, and it was like, I don't want to go back in.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do out here? That's the only analogy I can give. And so I just, I trusted, and I got into motion. I moved to a new city. I only knew the person that I moved there for. Didn't have any friends or anybody else there locally. And I just thought, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to share my story. And I'm going to trust that, you can't steer a parked car, but if you start moving, you can steer. And I thought, I'm going to find people as I get into motion that can help guide me, can give me advice. Maybe I can support and help. And so I started to do that. And it was amazing to watch the universe just open the right doors for me, connect me. The very first person I ever met networking ended up being somebody that he and his wife mentored me for 2 years, taught me so much when it comes to business. And I was able to apply everything. I grew an ASEA business that has now gone international.
Wow.
Connected with people like Catherine.
Yep. And it's funny, isn't that you went international and then you found somebody, I guess, local.
Yep. That's how it goes. I mean, it's just like, it's really interesting how, like, what do they say? 6 degrees of separation. I mean, It's like, we're all so interconnected. One person knows somebody that knows somebody that knows your neighbor. It's just like, wait, how did we get back here? So, it's phenomenal. And I, along the way, started speaking. I've been all over different podcasts sharing. I've gotten to speak with ASEA on stage, both mindset things, business things. I run boot camps where I teach people skills that they need for their business,
Awesome.
entrepreneurial skills. And I'm working currently on some workshops and programs for helping people with their spiritual progression. And most passionately for me, it's helping people transform and to go through their traumas and grow from it. It's called post-traumatic growth, as you mentioned at the beginning. And so many people.
Did you coin that term? Or is it something that?
I wish I did. But that was not my brainchild. That was something that, I wish I remembered the person that said it to me, but in sharing my story, I've met so many people and they said, wow, Danielle, you've really, you're the epitome of post-traumatic growth. And I was like, what the heck is that? And they said, well, it's survivors of trauma that use that trauma to actually fuel transformation and allow them to become a better version of themselves, have a different perspective, give more in society. And I thought, well, that is exactly what's happened.
I feel like you're in my brain right now.
Yeah, it's beautiful because, I will say this, when I was going through everything, was depressed and anxious, I was in psychotherapy, and my therapist had said to me, look, Danielle, at the end of this, you're going to have a higher emotional intelligence than your peers. He said, you're not going to have a diploma. They're all getting diplomas. You're not going to have any written piece of paper, he said, but you're going to have the school of life is going to have taught you so much, and you're going to have an awareness of yourself and your own emotions. It's going to make you more compassionate. If you ever decide to be a mother, it would make you a better mother. It'll make you a better partner. And he said, just know that that's what's coming with all that you're dealing with and having to address. And I believe, I held on to that because there was not much to look forward to with what I was going through. And I believe that if more of us collectively, when we see someone that's going through a trauma, that's going through an intense moment, this is where we say to them, wow, your soul was ready. You're getting ready for the next level of your life. This is test day. You're going through the test. Everything you've done up to this point was to get you ready so you could handle this challenge. And only you can take the test, but you got everything you need in you, and you're going to learn so much more about yourself. If we say that versus, I'm so sorry for you, you didn't deserve this. This is so rough. Let's go get a drink. Oh, this is awful. You're going to be down in the, you're not helping them elevate. They call it the Pygmalion effect, that if you hold an idea of someone up here, this was done with a group of kids, elementary school kids, they told a teacher that they'd done a test and there was a group of her students that were spurters that were underperforming now, but really were really smart. And throughout the year, she held those kids to a different standard because she expected them to spurt. She said, you have something you're not showing me. By the end of the year, the spurters had spurted and the rest of the class hadn't. And then they told the teacher that test was BS. There was absolutely nothing. We made it up. And it was to just reinforce this idea that the expectation that we hold for someone, they'll rise to the occasion. We have that influence over other people. And so for me, I think it's so important. If you know somebody going through trauma, you know somebody going through a natural disaster. It happened down here in Florida, the hurricane that ripped through Fort Myers area. People that have had a loss, like yourself, going through that. People that have had a physical injury, like I did. It shows up in different ways for different people. But if we can have a conversation that's a little different, to talk about the growth that's going to come from this and the beauty that's going to be on the other side, I think it would help those people more. And it will give an outcome that is going to be closer to the post-traumatic growth outcome than someone that gets stuck in a cycle of, not doing well.
Yeah, that is just so beautiful. I could just listen to you talk all day. This is why she's a motivational speaker. Awesome. Well, I feel like the last, 2 years of my life definitely was a growth transformation. And this is why I'm trying to revamp my health and wellness classes and put meaningful assignments in there. Like, what are we doing for spiritual growth? What are we doing for emotional growth? And using myself as an example, or telling a personal story like what you just did. People learn so much by hearing, oh, that resonated with me. She's been through it too. Or maybe it plants a seed because now somebody who can also benefit, from the information that you just shared or the experience that you went through, because your soul was ready at that time to experience that in order to grow. And if we start looking at ourselves as spiritual beings, like, I had to go through this experience because I'm supposed to grow, instead of, woe is me, I've lost this, where am I going to go? It's okay to stay there for a little while. We're human beings.
Yes.
We ask for this physical experience. And through that, becomes evolution of soul growth, because that whatever you're going to go through, 2 years down the road, 7 years down the road, you're going to be so far removed emotionally that you can't even remember what it felt like to be in that moment, because you've transformed so much.
Yes.
It's like once you go to the other side and you learn whether that place of peace is, it's like you want that for everyone, and, I really think that, the last 2 years I was like, okay, I'm going to unknowingly get the distractions out of my life. But once I did that, I realized I'm bored. This is why I needed these distractions. So let me put that energy into something else. And I got introduced, to the ASEA line last year, because I could tell that I was pushing myself so hard. And yeah, I had lost some weight, but I wasn't doing it healthily. It's just because I was getting rid of things that didn't serve me, but I wasn't really feeding my body what it needed. And since I started using, the ASEA line, I have it right here. I wake up every morning, and when your feet hit the ground and you're like, I'm not in pain, or you wake up in the morning and your first thought is, what am I going to create today?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing thing is going to happen. Or you have your list and you're like, I can't wait to do this, instead of, I have to do that. I spent spring break painting my fence. And I'm using that as an environmental wellness, assignment. Like, look what I did over spring break. What are you going to do for your environmental wellness? Even though we did environmental wellness a month ago, you still got to work on it. It's not like, oh, I have a brand new house. Well, 20 years down the road, are you still going to use that same roof? You got to take care of yourself. And this is why, I love this product that I'm on. I feel 10 years younger. My energy levels are up. And, it's just nice to know that other people like yourself who have been through traumatic experiences, it changes your DNA. It really does. Emotional trauma, physical trauma, whatever, it changes your DNA. But it's like, okay, what am I going to do in order to repair that so that I can move forward?
Yes.
And so
beautifully said. I'm so grateful. It's interesting. The ASEA, through the work, like over the last 8 years that I've been partnered with them and using it, I have met the most amazing people. It's like, I think that ASEA arrives in someone's life like when it's meant to, for their personal health, but also the network that gets drawn in. It's people that look at life differently. people that want to help others grow spiritually, grow in their well-being. It's such a powerful community to be a part of. I know, what was it, 2 weeks ago when we were together? Like I left there, it's like I flew home without the plane. Like you feel so good when you're surrounded by people that are looking at life differently, that want to create this same feeling for other people. It's just like, I mean, everyone deserves to have abundance, and that abundance, it's not just financial, it's of happiness, it's of, good health, it's of all of these aspects of life. And your gift, your true gift to your students. I think everything that you've been through in life, it's uniquely prepared you for where you are now. And for those of you listening, whatever you're going through right now, just get excited, because it's helping you become. Like, you asked for the lesson. And remember, things swing equal and opposite. If you feel like you're going through a hard time right now, it's because in the hard times, that's where we grow. That's where we learn what we're made of. It's why you go to the gym and you break down your muscle and you lift weights, right? It's hard. You need to keep getting heavier and heavier weights to make it harder so that your muscles get stronger. It's the same with your mental, spiritual, and emotional growth. Run towards the challenges, embrace the obstacles, because that's when you work on those muscles. That's when you become stronger. And remember, then you swing, because now you have the strength and the capability to handle the opposite side, the good times. And then when the good times are rolling, there's going to be a swing because this is an evolution. We're constantly learning. It's a learning journey. So just embrace it, have fun with it, stop taking it so seriously, and enjoy the ride.
Once you get to the other side of the trauma, when you experience another trauma, it's like, it empowers you. You're like, bring it on, because I know that I'm ready for this now,
Exactly.
Way of looking at it. So thank you so much, Danielle, for joining us today. Is there anything else that you would like to share with
resiliency is everything. And there's a question that I always ask myself, what is this challenge making possible? Because it's entered your life for a reason. You called it in on some level, soul level or otherwise, and it's meant to help teach you a lesson or bring you in a different direction. And the last thing I'll just say, because we're connected through ASEA, and that's how I know Catherine, and so I feel like that needs to be said, guys, this is a powerful breakthrough technology that I believe every single person deserves to have and deserves to know about. And Chrissy, I know you're learning more and more about it and are a great resource for people. But guys, reach out, put a comment, send a message, however Chrissy wants you to get connected. But learn about this stuff. It will change your world, and it could change the lives of people in your world.
Yeah, and every person is different. I met a person 2 weeks ago who was using the gel on the outside of his body with a cell. The organ, the biggest organ in your body is your skin, and then was drinking the liquid, and his skin was literally peeling off of his feet. It just looked so bad. His feet look like mine now.
Amazing. Isn't this so amazing?
Life-changing for people. And, I don't put my name behind supplements or this whatever. I've never done that before. In fact, I've been on this product for almost a year before I even told people about it, because I wanted to be able to use my testimony of, health. So, just the difference that it's made in my life, not to be able to crave alcohol or sugar. I don't have sinus infections anymore. I don't have leaky gut anymore. I weigh what I did when I graduated college in 2000. And I'm not working that hard to do that. I just stay active, because if I feel good, I'm going to do what I want, which is help people and do things that make me happy, Danielle.
That's what it's all about.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right. Bye-bye.